Ladies and gentlemen, we're back in session. I would like to call to order July 8th, Committee of the Whole meeting. Will you please rise for a moment of silence, followed by the flag? Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have a presentation from Montgomery County DA Kevin Steele and our Chief Markovich. Chief, you not coming?
He's going to be my support in the back of the room.
Okay, well, he can do that. That's okay.
Well, thank you for having me and spending a few minutes together. I realize it's a much nicer day than when I was out here for the parade the other day. It was a little warm running around the streets, but again, thank you for having me. So I've been in the DA's office now for over 30 years, and the last 10 as the elected. And one of the things that became very apparent as I moved from, being the first assistant district attorney into being district attorney was a town hall meeting I had up here, and there were a few things that happened during that and things that were said that really resonated with me, not in a good way, in a way that we needed to work together to try to make some significant changes to help the community. And at that point, there was a gal that had been talking about how she didn't want her children to sleep in homes with or rooms with windows because of the gunfire at the time. And that really struck me, and I think was a start and impetus of like, how can we make some changes that an investment that is going to help in public safety? Because look, government, our central job is the safety of the public, and you if you're not feeling safe, everything else kind of falls away in that. And I say, like, reflecting on this after about 10 years, because I'm very positive in the direction that it has come. It is I believe, and through the help of all of you and other folks, and especially your police department, that things have gone in the right direction. Now, that's not to say that there's not still a lot of work to be done, and things that we have to continue to do and keep our foot on the pedal. But just wanted to take a few minutes to go through some of those things over the last 10 years that are doing this. So, our mission is to follow the evidence wherever it leads us and to whomever it leads us. We support our victims in the community, but we also have to balance that with the rights of the defendants, because we represent everybody in the community, which is a little different from the defense attorney's job. Where am I doing this? All right. And balancing that with, the need for second chances, nonviolent juveniles, our youth aid panels, and different things like that we have going on. And I'm out here because we have an obligation to, be talking to all of you as the leaders in the community, and, our residents, to give you some background on the things that are going. We want to be transparent. We won't want to be, behind some curtain doing the work that goes on. All right. So the foundation being, that public safety, trust, and quality of life are so important for building a strong community. And with that, we've strategically planned, and we've worked through grant processes and done different things to make our investment, here count and make a difference in the community. I press it 3 times, and then sometimes it works. All right. So hopefully I can get to the next slide quickly there. All right, so we found this photo from, I think it was back in 2016, so you probably recognize a few of the faces up there, but maybe not too many on it. So that's our announcement of what we established, which is one of our first community justice units. We have 2 here in Pottstown and 1 in Norristown. And the thought behind this is that we're taking 3 of our prosecutors, we're dedicating them to this community to work with everybody. We're targeting, our enforcement resources. We're using technology and engaging in the community in this commitment. I would go much faster. Okay. All right. So if you go to the next one, that's great. All right. So I want to focus on the community justice unit a little here. And we've had a number of individuals from our office be a part of this. Rob Waltz, who is on his 2nd tour now, is captain of the unit here now, and you may recognize a couple of those detectives on our homicide unit. They used to work here in Pottstown in your police department, and so are familiar with that. But the work being done with this group is focusing on the cases that are coming out of Pottstown, working closely with the police, working with the community, knowing who the problem individuals are, because what we found over time is there are a few people that are causing most of the problems. And so if you look at them and work to make sure that they're not causing those problems, then it gives the good people in the community a chance to rise up. So they're taking these cases from start to finish. So they're working with the police in the beginning, they're going before the magisterial district courts, and then they're working the cases in the common pleas court or trial court level down in Norristown. So that's really that vertical prosecution model that we have that has been very successful. We did it here first, and we also do it in Norristown. If you go to the next one. So to give an idea of what that investment has been, to have 3 personnel here, so 24 to 26, that's been $714,000. If you look at it over the 10-year investment that we've made with the personnel costs, it's about $2.6 million to have 3 prosecutors working, in this community and doing the work that's being done. So, there's Rob, without a suit on, on things. If you go to the next one. So then targeted investigative enforcement resources to try to supplement your police department and work with you on. If you go to the next one. So with that and some of the agencies, we're all familiar with, if there's a homicide that occurs here, our homicide unit, our forensic unit is going to be here. They're going to work with the Pottstown Police Department and do the work. But some of the other units that work with the police department here a lot are our violent crime unit, our narcotics unit. We also have a drug task force throughout the county, and that helps with overtime costs for the officers here, and our gun violence task force. All agencies that are doing this, and so they're focusing on a lot of the crimes that affect our communities here, the drug trafficking, the gun violence, and repeat offenders that get involved with that. So if you look at the investment then on the task force for the past couple of years in terms of the overtime costs and other things that have come with that we've invested for here in Pottstown. This isn't across the county. This is Pottstown. is a significant amount, $122,000 over the past 3 years. And again, we're only, this is, I think, through the beginning of June for us here. So 26 is I'm sure going to be much higher, right, Mick? Yeah. All right, next one. This is one that I've been really waiting and looking forward to talking to you all about because I wanted this to happen much faster than it has. It's here, it works, so if you could go to the next one. We've been looking at opportunities with technology. There's things going on all over the country, but like, how do we do this in a smart way? Smart on crime. Like, how do we address it in the best ways to protect the residents in this community? If you go to the next. All right. So, what I want to talk about in terms of technology is the connection that we now have, and this is really focused on gunfire and gun crimes that go on. So we deployed here in Pottstown in '23 ShotSpotter. Okay, it's technology that's been around since World War II, but basically it's acoustic in nature, and it will tell you where and sometimes side of street. Sometimes you can pick up things like caliber of gun depending upon the gunfire. If you could click on, there's audio with this, and I don't know if it'll work in here or not. So that's an example of what comes across, and that goes to, and in a momentary amount of time, it's going to a lab where they've trained professionals that are looking at it, saying, is this gunfire, isn't it? And then going to the police to be able to address it. So, it's improving a lot of times, and I'll show you the numbers here in a second. But what it enables us to do is to try to address the problem quickly, and this occurs very quickly. So how do we get there fast? How can we see what the issue is, what the problem is? You now have a drone in Pottstown that is linked into this. So what I've been told is that this can get to the location of where the gunshots were within a minute. Okay, so it's 2 square miles. And so there's a couple hopes with this. One is that if somebody's on the ground suffering from a gunshot, you're going to know it and you're going to be able to get an ambulance there and get them help. If there's gunfire that's continuing on it, you're going to have police knowledge as they go into the situation to be able to try to address what is going on and what the problems are. This is being used in a lot of different places across the country with the drones, but we're really the pilot for this connection between ShotSpotter and this drone program, which is why it's probably taken a little longer than we all would have liked to get up and going. But my hope too is that, by talking about this in our community, is that if somebody is deciding to fire a weapon and fire a gun in this community, know that we're going to be there really quickly. And I hope that will deter people from firing guns in the community and continue on a really good path here for Pottstown with this. If you can go to the next one, please. I don't want to hear it again. Okay.
Exactly.
All right, so so this is just a kind of look at the numbers and the importance of having this technology. So 2025, there were almost 100 alerts. Now, that doesn't mean that they were all gunshots on it. and we can break that down a little bit. And one of the numbers that we talk about a lot, and that I was in disbelief when I talked to the company about, before we went with this technology, is they told us most of the time nobody calls 911. Now, not Montgomery County. People go call 911, when this goes on. Well, some do, but most of the time they don't. And that is what, we've seen. So if you look at those alerts in that 96 cases, almost 80% of the time, no one called. So you break that down a little bit more. And if you look at the number of incidents in 2025 where we've confirmed through evidence being located on the scene, about 32% of that is going to be like gunshots were fired, we're there on it. Now, if you break that down further, almost 67, 70%, of the time, nobody calling 911. We have better results if the community calls 911, right? And that's what, that's one of the message I want to encourage on this, that this doesn't take the place of people being involved and caring about their community. But the other number that I think is important, and when we're talking about the last number there, we're talking about people. We're not talking about an incident where somebody just fires a gun and they're firing it up in the air or something. There were victims that needed to be assisted at different scenes. And in my view, if there's one, then this is worth it to make an impact. If you could go to the next slide. All right, so this is up to where we are this year. It's kind of similar if you play it out, 96 last year, so slightly under, which is a great thing in terms of the alerts. But those numbers kind of are similar on how it is. And again, there have been people that needed assistance, out there in these incidents, and so that again is working. Yes, sir.
Can I ask a question? How are they concluding that it's not gunfire? And does that mean that the system has a 22% fail rate? Are we saying to some degree?
So some of the ways we confirm that it's gunfire. If it's a semi-automatic, then you're going to have casings. If it's a revolver, there's not going to be a casing, and that is important also with NIBIN, which is a National Integrated Ballistics Information Network. So if we have casings on a scene, we put that into that system and we can see if that gun has been used in other places. So to break it down a little bit more, they around 4th of July, it's a harder test. In Norristown, we're building a courthouse. I don't know if you've been to Norristown lately. It's a big operation on it.
It's beautiful.
Well, I hope it's going to be. It's big.
It's huge.
Yeah, they blocked my window, so I can't look out on it anymore. But that if you look at that, some of the dropping of heavy things, that would lead to an alert. So you're always working it to see problems. So if we have indications, we can try to figure out if there's certain things that are setting it off. It's not foolproof. It's
No. And I was thinking as you were talking. I mean, I'm not surprised by the number of people who are not calling. I mean, I hear it and we go, okay, that's gunfire, and I don't even know where it is. So calling it, why? If I can tell that it's next door or it's on our street, that's one thing.
Yeah.
And in the summertime, yeah, we play the game of, in our house, it's a game. Is it gunfire or is it fireworks? I mean, that's really literally what we hear. And sometimes it's hard to tell the difference. I mean, sometimes it's obviously gunfire. So
I think that's the beauty of this system, is
Yeah.
that it's trained along those lines to do it, and it has professionals
Right.
that are doing a human review of it also. This is not like AI generated or something along those lines. So it works from that perspective.
I think as a preventive measure, though,
Yep.
I don't know that if people know that this is out there. I mean, we've had it since 2023.
We have.
And
But talking about it publicly, at this point, because I want people to also know that there's gonna be a camera above them very quickly.
Yeah.
If they fire a gun.
Yeah.
So, I hope the combination of things may lead to me coming back to you and these numbers being much lower.
Sure, well, I mean,
So that's the goal.
I'd love to put signs everywhere if it's gonna say, like, the idea that you're gonna fire a gun and a drone's gonna be over your head in a minute, I think that's a great deterrent to some degree. I don't know how much of a deterrent that is, but I don't know if
see.
that's in any way public knowledge. And
It
now
is, because I'm saying it. And look, this is why I'm here, because I want to work together with
Yeah.
you on figuring out what the next steps are to help the community. Like, that's what my time here and this conversation is about. If you go to the next one.
Mr. Steele. Mr. Steele,
Yes, sir.
thank you, first of all, for your investment and interest in Pottstown. It is truly appreciated, and I can't thank you enough. What I want to talk about is I can see the value in this with regard to arresting and police response time. That's awesome. Okay? What I'm concerned about is the next part of that and how we're working on that. And Councilor Proxel at one time wrote to Presiding Judge Carluccio about the bail system. And once you arrest someone, it's highly likely that that person will be put back onto the street. And if that person could possibly then do the same thing again and cause yet another call and another police call, which takes their time and our money, is there any traction going on with actually when we catch people that we're able to keep them in the prison until their trial or raise bail, but not cash bail?
So what we do along those lines, and I think, for us, we have to make a case. We can't proceed on somebody until we've made a case. We want to use all the tools that we can to do that in the best way that we can. We now have assistant district attorneys at every one of those bail hearings to argue that. We're working closely with the police in terms of trying to let them understand the impact of this. So we're standing beside you.
You know what I'm
in
talking, you
that.
mean what I mean.
do.
Okay.
And it's been frustrating because, what I want to say, is, okay, the person went out and committed again on you, like, because you lowered the bail on this situation. So, that's a constant, aspect, and we're working through it, and we'll continue to work through it and try to find other means. We just recently worked with all the police departments on domestic violence cases and set up, protocols with that to help those type of situations, because they often reoccur, and they can reoccur in higher violence situations. So I don't want to, I'll
You got it.
happy
You get the point.
to ask or have more questions, but, the technology's pretty expensive that we've been working with. We've been able to get grants to support it and work through it. So, I hope, that this investment is going to pay off in a lot of different ways. I want you all to know that we've footed the bill, on all this so far. I may be coming to you for a little help and skin in the game with these things, but we're going to keep trying to work this, and and I think there are some more grants and things that are available. If you go to the next.
Excuse me?
Yes, ma'am.
May I ask you a question? If we go back to that last slide.
Yeah, you bet.
About technology.
Yeah.
When the drone first was announced,
Uh-huh.
I sent a list of about 10 questions in regards to the technology.
Right.
I've worked in healthcare IT for 23 years. I got no answer to my questions, and the
Okay.
drone was put up without, I'm sure some people up here knew, but most of us didn't. I would like my questions answered in regards
I'm here.
to, well, I gave the list months ago.
Okay.
Some of those questions are, what happens if that drone collects data on somebody that wasn't involved in the incident?
So the focus of this is simply upon the link in with ShotSpotter at this point, right? So what we're talking about is a gunfire incident. Now, we're all operating in a time with body cameras and all kinds of other stuff, right? We are, you walk down the street and talk to a police officer, you're going to be on that. That's something that we have to deal with all the time in terms of redactions, what is applicable to a crime, those kind of things. I think it's going to be very similar, but, these tools like ShotSpotter and like the drone are really pointer systems. Like they get us to the point in time where, all right, we're going to be able to collect, the casings and maybe do something with that. Maybe we're going to see somebody running, from the incident with a gun or something along those lines. So it's helping us along those lines. It's not flying around collecting data on people or something along those lines. It doesn't have a license plate reader on it. It doesn't have a, it's a system that has a camera to get us to see what the problem is in the area.
But if it picks up people inadvertently, where is that data being
Well,
stored?
It's gonna be, so there's a battery life on it.
Mm-hmm.
So it comes back to its nest at a certain period of time. It can fly for a little bit of time out there. Now, if people come out and are looking at the incident or something along those lines, well, they're gonna be on camera, but that's where you are
What if
in
that
every
catches
place.
a minor crime that wasn't involved in the shooting? Do we go after them? Because my constituents need to know that. I need to know that. I'd also like to know what.
It's new enough that I don't have an answer to that,
Mm-hmm.
but if the drone is out there and there's a gunfire on an incident and somebody decides to rape somebody on the street, well, I think that's probably evidence that we would use and.
What about marijuana? So I understand the case of rape, but
Well, I don't know how you're gonna pick that kind of.
it's transparency. I'd also like to know who does the IT support. Is there a risk of a data breach? What are the plans if that should happen?
This is with our detectives right now, with our county detectives, and we're working with the IT from the company, it's called Brink.
Okay.
And, they're a national company out of Seattle. I went to their warehouse, I see their actions and what they're doing. This is the wave of the future. I think some of the other local police departments in Montgomery County, each of their squads have drones, with them on every patrol. So there's those.
And I'm not saying that the technology is bad. Like I mentioned, I work in technology. Most of my job is going to AI. I work on it every day. I think the technology is great. I just think, myself included, citizens need to know what's going on. There needs to be transparency. Because after we leave here, I'm going to get questions. I got questions when this was first announced. And because my questions weren't answered that were written out, I couldn't answer the questions of my constituents.
Okay, well, I'm here to work with you, so.
Wonderful. Thank you.
What else do you have?
Well, can I send my list of questions back?
You can.
Okay.
You can. Okay. Go to the next one. Yeah. All right, so, kind of rounding things out, and talking about kind of next steps and what we do here. You've seen Rob and you've seen other members of our unit, at your meetings. That's, our investment in looking at what the issues are that you all are having. Katie and I probably should have introduced, Katie Cush is our community liaison. I stole her a little while back from one of the other agencies in Montgomery County because we've been able to work with her for a long time. And she's working in our community and doing things and attending a lot of these events. We we've gone to the schools. The Hill School has asked us in a bunch of times to do educational programs for the students. We have office hours out here. We go to the National Nights Out, and I usually start here and then work my way back to the other end of the county. I usually do 5 or 6, so you have me for half hour, 40 minutes, right? We got to talk for a little while at the last one. Our youth aid panels that are working here, and we're doing other activities. Our grand jury just did a really intensive report on the smoke shop issues that are going back. I point you to our website on that. We've been working really hard in the legislature and some other places on that. If you go to the next one, a couple other things. So one of our restorative programs is ARD, first-time DUI offenders, things like that. They have to do community service. We've been trying to target in areas that need a little help and need a little help on the cleanup, if you'd go to the next one. So, in the past, 24 to 26, and we usually do this when the weather's better on things, and so hopefully you'll have some more time out here. But we've had 29 defendants doing their community service. They've worked 174 hours here in the community cleaning up trash, and so a little different than drones and ShotSpotter, but like that's the work that is being done here. If you go to the next one. All right, so if you look in this, just in the past couple of years with our personnel, with the technology that we're working with, the community engagement, the investment's been about $1.245 million, dollars from us and from our budget to do this, and I hope it shows how much we care about this community and the work that you all are doing. The work that your police department is doing. You should all know that you have one of the best police departments in the county. You are in really, really good hands with your police chief. Mick and I have worked together to the days we were sitting in court next to each other on things. So it's in a really good place, and I hope you all appreciate that. Mm-hmm. Next one. So there's some things out there that we can talk about and think about. There's something that just came out from DOJ, which is a Model Cities program, which is a kind of holistic approach. City leaders, county prosecutors, Department of Health, CUNY supervision, trying to get grants. I think it's 300 million that that's available through some of these programs and things. But again, they want everybody in it together. So this has got to be a concerted effort and a partnership to do some of those things. Next one. All right. I know we were kind of asking them and going through as it went. That's okay. I want to appreciate your time on this. I've already overstepped my bounds, but I really, we're 10 years in on this, and I know there's a lot to do, and I'm in charge of public safety for 860,000 people here in Montgomery County. This has been a focus for us, and it will continue to be, and you have my commitment for that. But that's where I need to know from you all what your concerns are and how we can work together on it. And again, you have a team. Okay, there's 2 areas in Montgomery County that have a team of prosecutors that are specifically dedicated to them. Here and Norristown, which are 2 of our more challenged areas in a lot of respects. So that's why we have this investment here. But that's for you all to partner with and to work with to help make this the best it can be. And I know you're all in this to do that, and you have a partner in me, in our office to do it. So any other questions or concerns?
No, but just, thank you, because, gun violence is still like the number one concern, at least for me and my family and my constituents. And then so for appreciate the help with the technology, and then once the police, catch the individuals and make sure that they get the appropriate bail. And if you had that ARD program with the trash cleanup, that would be fantastic too.
We'll keep,
Yeah.
we'll keep that going and doing that. And so on the homicide end, which is the worst, that we deal with, our solve rate over the last 10 years is 96%. So that should be known and understood. So if you do it here, you're going to get caught and you're going to get successfully prosecuted. The numbers bear it out. That's what happens, and that's that commitment of everybody working together to get to the end, the right results on that. The national average on that, on solving homicides, is 62%. Okay, so we are in a very different place. I talk about that because I hope that will deter people from doing it here. I mean, there was an article years ago out of Philadelphia where they said flip a coin. It's kind of 50-50. I think they've gotten better, with some work being done down there. But that's not our 10-year look. It's over 96%. And the ones that aren't solved, we're still working.
I think that what happens, and thank you for all the work that you're doing. I was sorry, I was asking the questions.
Oh, it's okay.
I wanted to get into it. I do think that what we see is we see a lot of people from coming outside of Pottstown that come to Pottstown and cause trouble. And I really, if the more that we can plaster Pottstown, you do something stupid, you're going to get caught. And then it discourages people from coming to town and doing it. And what you said before, it's a small minority that's causing problems for the majority. And I think a lot of that minority comes from outside of town. I mean, we had an incident on our street just recently on 4th of July. A bunch of kids were setting off huge fireworks. I mean, the kind of fireworks that make your windows shake. And they drove in. They weren't even from here. They came into town. Because I think a lot of people think, well, we can come to Pottstown, we can get into cause all kinds of trouble. We're not in our community, we're not going to get caught. And I think that we need to figure out a way to discourage that.
Yeah, and I agree wholeheartedly with you, and the science behind it will bear that out. The most likely deterrence is somebody understanding that they're going to get caught. So listen to the numbers on homicides. Listen to the shot spotter, alerts. Listen to the fact that a drone can be over you very quickly. Those are the things that I hope will cut down on people coming into Pottstown to do those kind of things.
Yeah, I just think we need to figure out how to spread that word. I mean, to me, I'm sure you've seen it where they put up like, you're in a drug-free school zone, or something like that. And when we moved on to 3rd Street and that happened on our street, I was a little skeptical. I was like, well, that's not going to do anything. And actually, it ended up helping the street a lot. We saw a big reduction in crime. So I'm just thinking of how we can put out some sort of signage that's simple and easy to digest, like do something stupid in Pottstown, you're going to get caught. And like you said, the numbers back it up, so.
Let's do a billboard. All right. I saw Evan Brandt. Evan's on this, so Evan can write a story, and I'm sure he's probably already calling my communications director asking about things. But.
I just want to thank you for answering my questions about technology. I'm always going to ask those questions,
Good.
so I'm all about transparency. Other than that, I think technology is wonderful.
Great.
Thank you.
I'm excited about this. Like, this is a really interesting program that a lot of people are looking at and seeing where we go with it. So if we can be a model for things, I think that would be great.
Thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
All right.
Yes, thank you so much, Kevin.
I don't want it.
It doesn't really work. Pencil stealing.
Thank you.
Okay, so infrastructure, Councilor KG is not here, so, but there's a packet under there, and transportation, he's not here. So ordinance review committee, President,
There was none, but I believe we are meeting this month, are we?
I don't know.
Why?
Was there one? Was one? Okay.
And I want to steal.
And, thank you, Ryan. Okay, now, next up is Economic Development and Business Liaison. Also, Land Bank Report. Peggy Lee Clark.
Good evening, councilors, Madam Mayor. I don't know whether you know, but a train came to Pottstown twice in the last week. I don't know. So from my perspective, right, it was a great day for Pottstown businesses, especially in downtown. The heat drove a lot of people inside, although Kona Ice did very well. All 4 food trucks were from Pottstown, so I want to make sure that everybody knows that the food trucks that were servicing all of the people that were visiting here were Pottstown food trucks. Kona Ice did almost sell out. Brick and Blaze Pizza, nobody was feeling it as much. They did do some business, but hopefully they did more when they got back to the alley to serve those individuals. I think it's really important to understand that the people that we were talking to had a fundraiser out there, as well as we were giving out information about Discover Pottstown. And we met people from Westchester, Cherry Hill, New Jersey, Baltimore, Maryland, and they came from all over, and they really enjoyed their time here. It was great to see the Children's Discovery Museum that was open. They sold out of tickets. So even people that came with little children that said, oh, we'd like to go over to the Children's Discovery, unfortunately, they couldn't get in. They just used their overhang to keep as cool as they possibly could.
Peggy,
So, yes,
we had a tour bus from Pittsburgh.
yes.
Did you?
Yes, it was unbelievable. And Colebrookdale did sell tickets as well, so they brought people down from the area. They sold out within minutes, so it was crazy.
Do you mind if I ask you a question? Do you know how many people about came in?
So,
Anybody get a number?
right, from outside, we have no way of tracking that. It wasn't a ticketed event. We were sitting there with our friends from Valley Forge Tourism and just trying to calculate in our heads how many. The best calculation we could come under, and people move about, but we're thinking maybe about 3,000. And that's not even counting the people that were all along the track. Because there were people in Limerick and Linfield and, that never came into town. But it was really quite an event, and thanks to the fire company that turned those hoses on. That was really great. And certainly the police department, just a fantastic job by everybody. So it was a great day. I know more people are going to talk about that, but from an economic development perspective, it was really, really beneficial. And from PAID's perspective, we are always looking for those opportunities to bring people from out of town, other states, other countries, my friend with Low Show coming up here, because that drives economy. Not that all of you don't do your best to support the business community here, but you can't, right? You have to keep roofs over your heads. You have to do all those things in a community, pay your taxes, so you can get infrastructure projects done here. So it's really important to have people from the outside come in. And we certainly had that. So let me talk about FET very quickly. FET tickets are on sale. The individual tickets have been going on sale. 36% of the current orders are first-time attendees. So again, we want to just continue that reach. Don't wait to the end to get your tickets, though, because I don't want you to be disappointed. FET sponsors, thank you to Pico, Walmart, Comcast, White City Group, The Hill School, Hobart's Run, Montgomery County Commerce Department, Montgomery County Community College, ROG, Steel River Playhouse, Tompkins, TPD, Valley Forge Tourism and Convention Board, and Wolf Baldwin and Associates. So those are our current sponsors. There's still sponsorships available. We added another thing for some upper level. Walmart is actually our VIP reception sponsor. Just quickly, real estate numbers. There was one sale last month, which was 866 East High Street in the amount of $289,000. We are still tracking level on spaces that lease are those that are under 10,000 square feet. So we're still seeing those go. So the last thing I'd like to say is unemployment numbers. We hear a lot about unemployment numbers overall. The state no longer tracks individual boroughs, townships within the county, but I do sit on the Workforce Investment Board. We have seen those numbers, and the overall county rate is 3.6. The last time I did see Pottstown numbers, we were still tracking under the state and the US, which are now 4.2 and 4.3 respectively. So, I always like to push that number because people, when I first took this job, people told me there are no jobs in Pottstown. I was like, okay, there's no jobs in Pottstown. And then I went out to all these great companies and found out, guess what? There are jobs here in Pottstown. So that's definitely been a number that has been tracking down, and we continue to follow it and work on that. That's my report for economic development. I will go right into land bank very quickly. There are properties that are being put up for sale through the county sheriff's sale in August, and land bank now is having title work done on those properties to make sure that there are no scary things for land bank to take on. So they do have to be unoccupied properties, and they do have to not have any federal liens on them. Other than that, we're hoping that we will be able to acquire some properties and then be putting those out to the development community. And that is my report. Oh, and land bank policies and procedures have been sent to your solicitor, and I think he'll be discussing those with you. That's an annual review that happens. Thanks very much.
Okay, thank you. Business Improvement District, Councilor Manastra.
Thank you. A couple of events that occurred last month. There was the car show and arts showcase. Okay, this was pretty much a success overall, even though the car show was rained out at 6 o'clock. The artists shared very positive feedback, and they said they would be interested in participating again, so that can be another thing for people to do. The Rumble was another attractor of people to Pottstown. Unfortunately, it does not drive traffic downtown as we hope. Therefore, we need to figure out a way to bridge that space, okay? And that way, yeah, that would be great. The sweatiest event ever, the Big Boy Train, the bid event got food trucks. 3 of the 4 vendors were bid businesses with Kona Ice included, ran out the offerings. I did hear some complaints about they were only on one side of the train tracks. However, that's the side that doesn't have Radigan's and the alley and this and that. So, yeah, okay. I understand when they complained to me, I said, yeah, okay, great. Did you go to Radigan's? Did you go to this place? Did you go to Blue Elephant? No. Okay, well.
If your kids,
Gento's was
Yeah.
if your kids want
But
snowboarding,
it was great. The Big Boy thing was a super duper thing. Bid partnered with Paid to sell umbrellas. Peggy, do you know how much money you cleared from that?
So we cleared total with the T-shirts and everything, we cleared $1,300.
Oh, but the umbrellas,
Umbrellas, the bid earned $94.
you got a cookie. Okay. And there was communication support from the borough. It was great. And around Big Boy had to drive even more traffic and followers to bid. There was a spike across digital platforms from people outside of Pottstown. We got the website with basic information for each bid business included on the Discover Pottstown Bid directory. This means the website is now functioning as a true directory for bid businesses. Okay, it gives residents, visitors, and customers a stronger tool for discovering what downtown has to offer. We submitted a list of 40 properties who did not feel the need to pay their bid assessment for lien processing. The total value of these liens is $22,363.11. Includes a mix pay of 2025 and 26. July will be focused on completing the Main Street designation application. I believe that Ms. Clark has indicated, talked about that on several occasions, indicating how beneficial that would be for us to receive money and grants, having that designation, Main Street designation, kind of gives you some extra points. Okay, so we're going to be doing that. So we're very busy. We're trying to do that, and I'm reporting to you on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Library, Caitlin Gladback. Caitlin, I missed you. You haven't been here in a long time. I missed your energy and everything. I'm glad to see you. Friend, where have you been?
Doing summer reading. So our summer reading program has been going amazing. Most of our programming has had at least 60 attendees, if not more. Some have less, but overall, 60 to about 200 people at most of our big events. Our next one is going to be our trivia night, which is going to be an after-hours event, actually, on July 24th. It is geared more for our adult audience, so feel free to come on out. It's all going to be themed after our summer reading theme, so all think history, anthropology, archaeology. It should be really fun. And then in the not so fun news, I don't have a functioning elevator right now. Our quotes so far have been around 100,000 to get it repaired. The cylinder blew. So apparently it is a piece that only needs to be replaced once every 80 to 100 years. So that's what I've been told.
Okay.
Yeah, any questions, anything?
No, do anybody have any questions? I'm just happy to see you.
Well, thank you, I'm happy to be here.
Missed you. It's been months.
Thank you. Hopefully it'll get more regular now that
Yes.
everything is set in motion.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pottstown School District, Counselor Rose.
Okay, I attended the meeting virtually. It was about, I think it clocked in about 27 minutes. It was probably the fastest school board meeting that I've ever seen. It was pretty much business as usual, talking about a few things coming up for the summer. And one thing that was interesting, I think that came up, they did talk about a local property tax and a rent rebate resolution. And there was also then some discussion about a policy change that had just been done at the state level regarding cell phone restrictions. And the school district has to kind of figure out that for the 27-28 school year on how they're going to implement restricting kids' access to cell phones at the schools. So other than that, it was just kind of business as usual.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Solicitor's General discussion.
Yeah, thank you. Two quick legal updates for you. I did provide some email information to you, but in part for the public. I do want to confirm that the Pennsylvania Supreme Court did accept the appeal in the rental ordinance litigation. They certified two questions on the appeal. The first is, does an administrative search warrant to search a residence require particularized or individualized suspicion under Article 1, Section 8 of the Pennsylvania Constitution? And the second question is, how does Camera versus Municipal Court of City and County of San Francisco and its discussion of dragnet searches comport with Article 1, Section 8 of the Pennsylvania Constitution? In layman's terms, as I understand those questions, they're asking, what is the general requirement for administrative search warrants? And the second question is really, is there an exception to that rule? While like sports, you can sort of try to project what's going to happen, but you don't really know till they play the game. The good news here is that if the Supreme Court thought that the Commonwealth Court got it exactly right, they most likely would not have accepted the appeal. So they are at least open to reviewing, that decision. Our counsel's working on briefing the issues. At this level, though, outside organizations can present what's called amicus briefs in support of, addressing the legal issues and how it impacts people other than the parties to the litigation. If you know any organizations who would be interested, from PSABs to PSATs to any advocacy groups for tenants. Again, encourage them to talk to their attorneys and potentially participate in the litigation. The second, the Supreme Court issued what at first seemed like a pretty good decision for municipalities on the games of skill. These are the machines you see in gas stations, bars around town that really are gambling machines, but originally were classified as the Commonwealth Court as games of skill outside of gambling machines. And why that's important is the state regulates gambling machines and has controls for it, whereas the games of skill had no controls. The PA Supreme Court did give the legislator 120 days to assess whether they want to legislate and allow for these machines. Based on my initial research, it looks like the legislator is at least considering that. The gaming industry has presented a bill that they would support. It would limit the number of machines in certain types of businesses and charge fees from the manufacturers, distributors, and the businesses that use it. The one positive aspect of that is they are proposing that 20% of the revenue that's raised from those fees would be returned back to municipalities, but based on what I read, that's not really specified exactly what form that would come back to or who directly would receive it. The big point, though, is that, again, I think this is going to be looked at over the next 100 days. So if any individualized counselors or council as a whole have an interest in this or want to take a position, I strongly suggest that you reach out to your state representatives and voice that. Other than that, unless anyone has any questions, that's my report.
I did reach out to our state rep about those skill machines because they are not skill machines, they are slot machines, and they belong in a casino. They're predatory.
Any more questions, councilors? Okay. Thank you, Matt. Okay, next we have the mayor's report. Madam Stephanie.
Yes, good evening. June was a busy month. We had car shows and festivals, fundraisers for our Rotary 4th of July Parade and the Go Forth Festival, Pottstown Play Streets, and I want to thank, thanks to the generosity of Nicole Matz and the collective, I was able to award a young middle school student at Play Streets named Caleb with a free week of tennis camp. He was very excited. President Lindsay and I attended the Schuylkill River Sojourn dinner event and welcomed all the participants to Riverfront Park. And it was really awesome to see there was a lot of new people this year, so they were excited to be there. I want to applaud Denise Williams, who was here, but maybe she left, and her Juneteenth committee for putting on a fantastic festival and gala, and I was happy I was able to be a tent sponsor this year. I had the honor of uniting Chelsea Schisler and Joseph Blanchett in holy matrimony. We had our Pottstown Rotary changeover event. I want to thank Brian Price for his leadership and his service, and welcome Tammy Bontner as our incoming president, who is taking the reins actually as we speak right now. Good luck, Tammy. And we knocked out the duck numbering for the duck races. That was fun. As you all know, the train came through. I want to especially thank the borough and police officers and our first responders for keeping us all hydrated, cool as much as you could, and standing out there in the oppressive heat in your uniforms while we were being entertained. So thank you very much. Then we did it all again the next day at our 4th of July Rotary Parade and our Go Forth Festival. There's way too many people to call out, and thank you. All know who you are. Amy Wolf and Amy Francis, thanks for throwing us the best 4th of July party ever for an entire decade. We really appreciate you, and we're gonna miss Go Forth, but hopefully somebody will pick that up. Upcoming events, go to BID's website, check Parks and Rec, Facebook. A couple events, Pottstown Play Streets is 3 times this month. The 9th, July 9th is at Chestnut Street Park. The 23rd is Cherry Street Park, and the 30th is Spruce Street Park.
Which is the best one, but go ahead.
Yes, it is. And then July 18th from 1 to 5 is the third annual Pottstown Pride Fest at Schenkel United Church of Christ. And August 4th is National Night Out from 6 to 8 on Washington and Chestnut Street. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Next up is Manager's Report. Justin?
Yes, good evening, everyone. So I'm going to keep this kind of short because we have the evening presentation. But just to update everyone, I met with the Delaware River Basin Commission, the Army Corps of Engineers, the Western Berks Water Authority, and the DEP to talk about some of the issues that have been caused during the summer at our water treatment plant due to the algae in Blue Marsh Lake. So we're trying to work with them collaboratively to come up with some grant solutions, some longer-term advocacy and legislative solutions that'll help with this, and some funding solutions that'll help reduce the algae that is coming from the lake. But basically, it's three parts. It's coming from the greater watersheds. There's a lot of farms and things like that around there that contribute to the nutrient loading in Blue Marsh Lake. And then there's not a lot of funding for removing algae unless it's actually like harmful for recreational swimming. So that's something that we want to work on with them as well. And then also they're going to be working with us to, instead of when they do releases at Blue Marsh, that really impacts us in terms of we get a huge algae load that we then have to treat. So they've been great with communicating with us and letting us know when those releases are happening in real time so that we can kind of throttle down and then throttle back up once it passes by us. But they're going to give us even more advanced notice on those. And they're also going to, instead of releasing from the bottom of the lake where all the nutrients and dead algae are, they're going to try as a pilot to release more towards the top in August and September when we have the issues. So stay tuned. Hopefully, and I think we all agree, the big thing that we took away from it was past 2 years have really been the driest they've been on the Schuylkill in recent memory. And due to that fact and having less dilution in the water, that's really what caused the issues that we had with the odor 2 years ago, the color in the water, and then the issue that we had last year. So we're still working on that, and we're going to keep in contact. We met with West Pottsgrove today to review the RFI RFQ for the engineering of the KEEP plan. That's the plan to extend the Keystone Boulevard out to the Stowe interchange. So that seems to be going well in that regard. And then Councilor Kirkland, he's not able to make the meeting tonight, but wanted me to announce that Play Streets is scheduled for tomorrow at Chestnut Street Park, which I think you probably covered. And I just want to lastly thank all the staff who put a lot of time and effort into preparing for the Big Boy event, the decorating, the planning for the crowds, the barricades, the banners, the fire trucks, all that stuff. And the social media and the outreach that happened in advance, I think really helped us to have a nice event. But I think that we were well prepared, especially in the emergency services side. And I wanted Frank to come forward, and I'll cede the rest of my time to him so that he can provide some stats from that event.
So thank you, everyone, for letting me talk about this tonight. Obviously, if you were there, you saw the heat, or felt the heat, I should say. And in the course of that event, we did have 3 planning meetings, and I was talking to Jamie tonight, and we were talking about the low show. So when we're doing planning, we're thinking about weather-related, anything that could come up and impact it, as well as the rumble. I heard some talk about the rumble. We even meet with them for these contingency plans for these kinds of things. What we didn't expect was, we did have planning, we had plenty of resources on the scene, but what we didn't expect was the temperature to just take over the whole operation. With fire, police, and EMS, our original numbers are that we felt between fire, police, and EMS that we had contact with at least 150 people that had some type of a heat-related issue, whether the police just sent them over to one of our first aid stations or we had other things. With that, we did treat and have to transport 26 people. Of those 26, 4 were admitted to the hospital with severe heat-related issues. We were able to get water to people and do different things like that. The biggest thing for us was, when this started to take a life of its own, when we started getting more and more people, I think some of the people in the room from emergency, there was the same incident going on in Berks County. So we didn't have any resources to help us. So we were, every person that was there in a uniform was doing something to help somebody. And I think it's a big tribute to the borough that we do that. But one of the unique things was, once we started realizing what was going on, not only did our ambulances have to handle normal incidents in the borough, we also handled 5 fire calls on top of wetting people down and doing different things. The other thing that happened to us was we had no help. So when the county started trying to get resources for us, the closest 2 ambulances they could get for us was one from Bucks County and one from Downingtown in Chester County.
Wow.
We put out an all-call for our ambulances, and Chief Yerger, I think anybody that was with him that day, I think he lost 100 pounds running around. But, you know, he was able to, through his communications, we were able to put 8 ambulances with people that weren't on duty that came in when they saw the need. So that was a big plus for us, that we were able to get that kind of help. So we do plan for these events. Like I said, we do, this was unique, but we do the Low Show, we do the car shows, we do the Rumble. We're ready for these events. It doesn't seem like it sometimes, but because we're not always needed. So that's where we're at with that. Real quick, the 4th of July, I don't know what the police did on their side, but the fire department, we really didn't have any fire-related issues from the 4th of July. I know there was a lot of fireworks. I think the rain kind of settled that down a little bit, but that's where we were at with that. So, but other than that, I just wanted to make sure everyone knew that the emergency services, we just don't go there and say we're going to set up with. This was a lot of planning and a lot of effort to make sure we had everything we needed that day. And I think the water ice did help. So, but thank you. That was
Chief.
my quick report.
Chief, I have one question. At the end of the 4th of July parade, okay, the fire police were flying past the police, and I asked the people there, I asked some of the fire responders, I said, where are you going? Okay, they said that there was a fire at an encampment. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you. That's all I want to know. You said that there was
That'll
there was no fire incidents, but I just wanted,
Well,
I
it wasn't
want to make sure I
fireworks.
wasn't
No,
wrong.
no,
I was not
fireworks.
wrong.
You know, we didn't have any
Okay.
fireworks. And that'll be my other
That was
reports.
actual.
Yeah,
Okay.
it
All
was,
right, cool.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so again, thank you.
So it's safe to say we were more prepared and we fared better than Reading?
I think we were more prepared than most.
Yeah.
I think, you know, I know at some of the meetings we had outside, you know, with thinking about water and different things, but we had an internal meeting with the fire and the EMS and our fire police on contingency plans. We never expected that many people. We expect these things, like here's a good example, the 4th of July night. They only treated 2 people that whole night. One was a fall and one was a heat-related issue.
Wow.
So I think it was just the idea that people were out in the sun all day. Lord knows what that temperature was of the sidewalk and everything that was
Almost saw
going
me.
on. It was pretty hot, but, you know, again, like, I say it all the time, and District Attorney Steele said it, we have good emergency services here, and, you know, I don't think people realize sometimes what goes on behind the scenes to make sure something like this is a safe event for everyone.
I think the fact that it was also like gonna be it was an hour and change late could have really made that
Yeah, that
issue
didn't help.
gotten worse, you know, so I think.
It didn't help.
Hats off to you guys. You guys, I mean, everything, the first responders, I was watching the police, you know, looking down the line and watching people who were getting closer to the edge and kind of like pushing people back, and I think that it was an amazing event, and it was really, I think a lot of that is at your feet for you guys, keeping everybody safe and addressing things as they came along and turning on that sprinkler. I mean, I was
Yeah,
literally
like the
walking
sprinkler.
down the street going, guys.
Don't tell Doug, because we use the hydrants, that, you know, he's gonna have a bill.
I was just walking down the street, you know, down Hanover and telling people, like, look, there is a sprinkler that's now running down there, and the look on people's face were just like, oh, thank God,
Yeah,
so
it
it was,
worked out pretty well.
yeah.
Yeah, for all ages, because I've seen adults go through there too. It was really nice to see the kids and the adults go and enjoy it. It was nice.
I was glad I lived a block away. I went home. I had a 90-year-old man with me. There was no way we could sit for an extra hour in that heat. So thank you. I saw a couple people not literally go down, but go down and need EMS service.
So, but again, it was a team effort, and it started with, everyone up in here, supporting this effort. So again, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay, next up is 2026 paving plan presentation. Justin and Doug? Okay. I didn't see Doug move, so didn't know if you.
All right, so, good evening, everyone, and before we get started, we'll try to keep this relatively quick, because a lot of this information you guys have seen before, but I still think that some of it is pretty helpful for the community in general. But we are doing a little bit, we did a lot of paving last year. I mean, it was pretty noticeable when you went out. Due to the oil prices, we decided to wait this year, and we decided to scale back a little bit more. So that's kind of, in general, just to give you a big picture of where we're at right now with the paving plan. So you guys have the map out on your desk spots. You also have the list of streets that we plan to pave. So again, just to kind of review, we have 60 miles of roadway, 19 miles of alleys. Many of the alleys are not ordained or adopted by the borough, meaning they're the responsibility of the adjoining property owners. Then we've got 10 miles of state roads. We've got 4 primary funding sources that we use to pay for roadway paving. The State Liquid Fuel Fund, which fluctuates based on the gas tax. That number was a lot lower. I think this might have been last year's number, 800,000. It was a lot lower. This year, we're shooting at about 400,000. The Borough Authority, they through 2024, 2026, they paved about 0.5 miles through their water and sewer main replacement projects. And then utility companies like PECO, they're out there a lot, so they've done a lot of paving, especially in the core of town, basically between Charlotte and Evans and Beach and South, that kind of quadrant there. And then roadway impact fees is another source, so we collect these from a agreement that we have with the authority. So the bulk haulers that come in to treat their sewage at our sewage plant, we're earning about $180,000 annually on those. Those can only go to specific roadways that are listed there. Those are the roadways that the trucks would use to access the plant. But we've got an upcoming project on Moser Road where we're probably going to spend about $500,000 of these roadway impact fees to repair the Moser Road Bridge. And then the other $500,000 roughly is coming from a grant from the county. So I'll turn it over to Doug now to talk about some of the determining factors for prioritizing the roadway repaving. I keep this into 5 categories just for consistency purposes, but Doug actually has a 6th category, so it's like the bad and then the really bad. So we're just saying they're all bad, so that's what 5 is. So go ahead, Doug.
Okay, well, and the 5 was the worst, but I had to do something because I had so many 5s there. There wasn't, to try and keep them straight, which was the worst of the worst. I created a 6 just so I could keep the worst one top and center. But this year, because we've reduced the amount of money we're going to have available, I started looking at some number 6 roads, 5 roads that just on low volume streets. I mean, I try and pay attention to the streets that benefit the most people because of traveling and stuff like that. So I thought it was a good time to circle back to some of the lesser used roads and try and get them up to grade because some are getting pretty old as far as the paving. So, I mean, as we said before, the number 1s are pretty much right after paving. Usually they'll go 5, 10 years depending on the travel. before they turn into a 2. And then a 2's when the road starts to show signs of distress, cracking, and, and the cracking is the main thing. When we get to a 3, you're starting to see some potholes develop, and we're out there patching them. 4s are getting worse. Start worrying about base failures at that point. A lot of times that's what causes the road to really start coming apart when the base starts to fail. And we get to 5s, that was at the point where we really want to get it paved. But like I said before, we've had an overabundance of 5s. And we're really starting to, which has been great, we're actually starting to see some catch up on some of this stuff now. It's not where we need to be yet, but we're getting a lot better at it in terms of trying to get some of these roads back up to speed again. As you can see on like that 4, you start seeing a lot more of the alligator, the cracking. Of course, when it hits 5 and we have potholes and over potholes, that's when it really gets bumpy and the rideability is just awful. So, and I like to get the road, ideally get the road at a 4 because that way we can mill it down, start over again. Once you hit 5, you have to worry about base failure. And of course, then it costs more money to restore it because now we've got to dig it out and redo the base and then top it. So it's better if we can get them before they get that bad. But like I said before, we've got too many of them yet. I think we're still at, 80-something, number 6s. So we'll knock 13 or 15, I think it was 15. We'll knock 15 off the that number.
15 roadways.
Yeah, 15, essentially blocks will get taken off the 83 that we still show. And so we're going down with them. And we're getting some 5s, it's almost the same amount of 5 roads out of the way. So we're making progress on this. It's just still a little bit slow. And hopefully the liquid fuel funds get back up a little bit so we have, we can do a lot more of this patching and paving.
Yeah, so just to kind of summarize, we've got about 22 miles of borough roadways that are rated as a number 5, and then this year the borough is going to pave 2.12 miles of those roadways. So prior to doing the paving plan, we try to do a lot of coordination with the utility companies as well as the borough authority. We try to influence as much as we can. This, the schedule and the location of the underground main replacements by the authority, so that we've got issues with mains in a lot of places. So what we try to find is an area where we have an issue with the main and also an issue with the roadway. So that way we take care of both issues at the same time. We also don't want to pave a roadway that has an issue with a main, that we know has an issue with the main, because more than likely we're gonna have to come back in the wintertime, there's gonna be a water main break, and then we're gonna have to chop the road up right after we paved it. We also attempt to coordinate with PICO. Another reason why we kind of went a little smaller this year is because PICO is doing so much, and we're still trying to get a handle on exactly what PICO plans for the remainder of this year and for 2027, so that we try to avoid an instance where we go in and pave it and then PICO comes back and tears it up. We're meeting with them next month, so by the time that you guys are ready to award this, we should have that information. And then we also coordinate with adjacent municipalities. We had a cooperation with Upper Pottsgrove 2 years ago, and then Lower Pottsgrove last year, where we partnered on a boundary line road to pave our respective halves at the same time, which is not only more efficient, but it helps with the overall maintenance of the roadway and longevity of the roadway if you can pave it at the same time. So all in all, there's an additional 1 mile of PICO roads that have pretty much almost, not, I won't say all, but the majority have been paved or are being paved at this point. So that gets us up to 3.12 miles to be repaved in 2026. And then this is the map showing the various locations throughout the borough that we'll be working on. So we would just ask that, council review the list and the map, let us know if you're okay with everything, and then we would ask you for authorization to bid the project on Monday night, and then hopefully award that bid in August, and then get the paving in sometime in the fall before it starts to get too cold. So a lot of questions we get are, what is left for the alleys? So because the majority of them are not ordained by the borough, they are the responsibility of the adjoining property owners. And because of that, we cannot use state liquid fuels funds to pave the alleys because we don't own them. But what we try to do, especially late winter, early spring, we try to get out and fill potholes upon request or drag them so that they're a little bit more level and more drivable. But we've also gotten creative, and we've come up with a lot of different ideas. So we've done some alternative paving techniques. We did a driving surface aggregate, which is an aggregate that kind of knits itself together, that was developed by Penn State through the Dirt and Gravel Road program. We got a grant for that. We're looking for more opportunities through that program as well. And then we also have a DEP Growing Greener grant for the installation of porous paving in Herb Alley between 3rd Street and 4th Street. In 2026, we also purchased a new milling and power rake loader attachment that will allow us to do some milling and actual reprofiling of the alleyways. So we think that's going to save us a lot of time, because right now when we're going out and filling potholes, a lot of times it's in the same place. And usually why that pothole's there is because there's some sort of drainage issue with the alley. So if we can try to correct some of those drainage issues, we're going to have less potholes that we need to go out and fill. So we tested that on 1 or 2 alleys so far this year. It's worked great. We need to test it out more. It doesn't take us a lot of time to do it, which is nice as well. But we still have a lot of work ahead of us in terms of trying to address some of these alleys in a cost-efficient way.
Justin, can I ask, which is the Herb Alley?
So Herb Alley is between 3rd and 4th Street,
Yeah.
between Hanover and
Oh, okay.
York.
Okay.
So it's right by the Red
Yeah.
Horse parking
Yeah,
lot.
yeah, yeah.
It goes right through there. And you wouldn't maybe think it's an alley, but it is
Okay.
actually an alley that we have control over. But the reason why that was picked wasn't because it was the alley that was in the worst shape, but because we also have other objectives that we have to meet for stormwater through our MS4.
Yeah.
And that was like one of the only locations where if we put a porous paving, we could get the most credits for it, because
Okay.
it's like a low point.
Yeah.
And it has a huge watershed that's flowing.
Yeah, no,
into-
because it all
into
flows
that.
down. Okay.
Yep.
Right.
So that's why that location was chosen.
Okay.
It took a long time to get to that point.
I was just trying to think of where that alley was. I'm like,
Yeah.
wait, all right, 3rd's only 3 blocks. So
Right.
I'm in the middle, and I don't remember this happening on my alley, so I
Yeah.
was just trying to figure out what this was.
Yeah, so we're in the process of we have to get approval from the property owners. And then once we get that, we should be ready to go out to bid on that one. So that'll be the first porous paving alleyway that we've done in the borough. But there's other opportunities for us to do that through the Dirt and Gravel Road.
Yeah, if you want to come up a block, well, I can solve my neighborhood on it, and you're going to do an alley,
Yeah.
so,
It has to be paved now, currently.
okay.
So that's one of the requirements.
yeah, we're
Like,
not
there's all
paved.
these funny requirements. It has to be.
Okay.
So if it's not paved now currently, you could do a driving surface aggregate. We can get a
Alright.
grant for that.
Okay,
But, yeah.
okay.
So
Alright.
you can take a look at it. And then, but homeowners can also work together to commission the paving or the placement of stone in their alley and split the cost to bring in that contractor. So we'll give you a permit for no fee. But we do need to review the plans, because we need to make sure that the grading of the alley isn't changed to an extent that it's going to put stormwater onto adjacent properties, which is a lot of times the problem that we run into, because our alleys were never properly laid out and graded. They just kind of were put in inorganically with not a lot of coordination with how the drainage would work. So we do need to be careful about that, and doing things like an inverse pitch on the alley can help. to make sure it's not going onto adjacent properties. And that's one of the strategies that we use. So we also encourage them to have a release for that work as well.
I know one individual would be very happy to hear that, I think.
Yeah,
You
we're
know
gonna
what I'm
get
talking
there. We're gonna get there. We need to pilot it at a couple more locations first so that we're real comfortable, because the individual you're talking about, that location is very complicated. So, and we need to make sure we do it
Right.
100% right.
Mhm,
And we need to get a
absolutely.
release from that property owner. So there's some steps that we have to take there. Online service requests, if you have a pothole, if you have a street concern, you can put that in through our system. We make sure we get all the appropriate information, because we have required questions that you have to answer, so that way multiple staff members are ready to act on it as soon as they get the request. So we advise you to go on our website, take advantage of that system. And then you can also, if you don't want to use service requests, you can email publicworks@pottstown.org or call them at their number. If there's a request for a PennDOT road, and we list those out there, you can call PennDOT 1-800-FIX-ROAD. You can also go online and submit roadway feedback. When I do that, I usually hear back within a couple hours, and usually they address it within a couple days. So it's really a pretty good system that they have there. So that pretty much concludes what we have. Again, kind of a scaled down work plan this year, but if you have any questions for Doug and I, we'd be happy to take those. All right, if not, we'll ask for your approval on Monday night.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Doug. And Justin, as you make your way back up to your seat, 2025 audit approvals.
Yep, so luckily I've got a really good finance staff, and they made this one very easy for me. The Borough and the Authority audit are both complete. There were no findings. So good job by my team to keep the accurate records and make sure that the funds are where they're supposed to be. And we'll ask for your approval for that on Monday night.
Okay, thank you. Now, Matt, zoning 369 South Street.
Yes, thank you. Both of the next two items are zoning hearing board applications. They have hearings scheduled for July 22nd at 7 p.m. For each of them, I did give you email briefings, which I'd ask you to refer to between now and Monday night, because it provides more detailed information. As far as a general overview, though, for 369 South Street, this is a residential property. The rear yard of the property is fenced in, and the property owner would like to put a shed right in the area next to the home and the fence. The zoning ordinance, however, requires the shed to be placed at least 3 feet away from the property line. The applicant has requested two forms of relief. The first is they're appealing the zoning officer's determination, which essentially asserts that it was incorrect. It was not incorrect, though. And the second then is a variance to allow for it to be placed, I believe, about 1 foot from the property line. Again, please take a look. We'll list this for Monday night for you to consider whether or not you want to take a position. Do you want me to go on to the next one?
Yes, please.
The next one then is 324 Chestnut Street. Again, you've got a briefing with detailed information and some pictures. The basic overview is that the property owner's contractor stoned half of the front yard. It's a residential property. Enforcement was initiated against that, and the property owner has requested a variance to allow for the front yard to remain stoned for parking purposes, and has claimed a hardship. Again, please, on either of these, reach out with any questions or concerns or need for additional information. You can discuss these in executive session on Monday night before or during the meeting if you want. But we'll list this on the agenda for discussion, and you can decide whether or not you want to take a position.
Okay, did you want to take the next one?
Yes.
Land development?
Yeah, next is the land development plan for 377 Circle of Progress. This property is up near the oval, the top of the oval of Circle of Progress. The developer is seeking to develop the property with a 12,450 square foot office and warehouse building with associated parking, drive lanes, and stormwater management facilities. The plans are linked on the agenda for you to review. This has been through the Planning Commission, who recommended preliminary final approval. The only conditions they were proposed, there was some questioning about whether a stop sign should be put in at the edge of the driveway leading onto Circle of Progress. It was agreed upon between the consultants and the developer to use a stop bar, basically a stop, put on the street, stop, or the white line. The developer and their attorney are here with us this evening if you have any questions. But this is basically a clean plan, meaning that they're not seeking any waivers. The plan can comply with all the requirements of your ordinances. And unless there are any questions, I'll prepare a resolution for this, and we can put it on the consent agenda.
Okay. Lisa?
I don't have any questions, but thank you for coming and being available for questions.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next is Tax Services Agreement, Borough of Pottstown and Pottstown School District. Justin?
Yeah, thanks. So the borough and the school district have a long-standing agreement, whereas the school district compensates the borough 50% of the wages and benefits for a borough staff position to collect taxes on the school district's behalf. So staff is proposing to update this agreement to reduce the school district's share of the cost, as well as some other minor kind of cleanup changes to basically memorialize how the borough and the school district have been operating under this agreement to date. So attached is the appendix to that agreement, which is where all the changes are contained. Again, the most significant change is the proposed agreement provides that the borough and the school district would split the cost of the tax clerk equally. However, based on the increased tax certification fees, we're able to offer a further reduction to the school district's contribution by an additional $12,000 annually. So essentially, it will be, they'll be responsible for 50% of the costs minus $12,000. So for Monday night, we're asking council to review and approve the appendix amending the current agreement.
Okay, thank you. And policies and procedures, Pottstown Land Bank. Matt?
Yes, you created the land bank. It is a sort of a semi-independent board of the borough. In your ordinance, though, you did retain some oversight responsibilities for the land bank, in part because their primary power is acquiring and disposing of property. One of those oversight powers is you initially approve their policies and procedures and are required to approve any subsequent changes. I received an email from their solicitor following an annual review of those policies and procedures with recommended changes. I forwarded you that email as well as a clean version of the document and a red line version of the proposed changes, along with some analysis from me. As far as the general overview, there were sort of three major changes. One is the information that they collect from individuals or entities who potentially want to acquire property that's held by the land bank, with a focus on sort of finding their history as far as tax delinquency, code enforcement, and associated with blighted properties. The second then is to give them more authority over, denying someone from acquiring property through the land bank if they have a questionable history in those respects. And then the third has to do with public participation at the meetings, and it's designed to sort of funnel people towards participating in person. If you have any questions, between now and Monday, please let me know. Again, you have the documents you can take a look at. If you do want to approve this, it'll be by resolution, so we'll have a proposed resolution available for that.
Okay. All right, thank you. Now, next we have street closure request, National Night Out, Pottstown Neighborhood Partners, August 4th. Justin?
Yes, that's correct. So they do this every year. They have a rain date of August 11th. The time will be 4 to 8:30 p.m. And this will be the closure of North Washington Street between Chestnut and Walnut.
Okay, thank you. And while I have you, resolution appointment of Assistant Secretary.
So the Borough Code requires a formal appointment of a secretary who serves as an officer to the borough. Alexa Bonfante is our current borough secretary, and because of her impending maternity leave, we're recommending that you appoint an assistant secretary. An assistant secretary is also authorized by the Borough Code and can assist in the secretary duties when the main secretary is not there. So this appointment has to also be made by a resolution, and it can be anyone other than a council officer. And so we are recommending that Zach Nelson gets appointed to assistant secretary, as things like meeting minutes, wet signatures on documents and things like that Alexa would normally do will need to be done while she is not here.
Okay, thank you. Upcoming board vacancies, Planning Commission alternate. One initial term to expire December 31st, 2029. We have one person, and that's Tracy Purdy. Construction Code Board of Appeals, 1 3-year term to expire August 8th, 2026. And the last one is Environmental Advisory Council, 2 3-year term to expire August 10th, August 10th, 2026. Now we're doing comments from citizens present.
All right, so just a reminder, each commenter will have 5 minutes, and generally, council does not respond tonight, but a staff person will get back to you if you have a question. So first up, we have Gabriel. What's your last name, Gabriel? Soffert. Please come forward.
Hello. Okay. Oh, we just talk about the pavement. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Could you please talk into the microphone? Sorry. Just for everyone.
Good evening, my name is Gabriel S. Soffer. I'm speaking about the alley behind our homes in Pottstown. I spoke with Joe Kirkland about this, and I also left a message at the Borough office earlier today. The alley has potholes and uneven surfaces that create safety and access problems, and I'm asking the Borough for help in looking at the condition and finding the best long-term solution. Because these pictures, there's like craters on that thing. So that's all I had to say. I don't need 5 minutes. I just wanted to show you and bring it to your attention.
What is the location of the alley?
Right behind Rambler, and like there's High Street, and then Rambler Avenue, and then the alley.
Okay,
So there.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's, yeah.
We'll have someone take a look at it and get back to you.
Yeah, that's all. I just wanted to bring it out there and show, because I know there's worse ones out there, but I'm like, at least if I took pictures and just showed you guys what it looks like, you know, that's all I wanted to do is present it. I don't need 5 minutes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I like the presentation and the pictures and the, I liked it. And that was nice. Yeah, you put it all in a nice little. Okay.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, good job.
I'll take it, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good job.
Just make sure he gets it back. That's a nice presentation.
Yeah. It's really nice. You did
Thank you for
good.
doing your, like, homework.
Yeah, and getting the people to sign. Yep,
Yeah, smart.
like that.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Teresa. What's your last name? Massantonio. I probably wouldn't have been able to pronounce
Yeah,
that.
we'd have messed that up.
Thank you for your time today. I've been a mortgage-paying resident of the borough since 2021, and this is the first year that I felt afraid in my own home. As you hopefully know, there was a shooting in my backyard on June 27th around 7 p.m. when a man shot 12 rounds that they found, where there's usually a lot of children typically playing outside. Thank God no one was injured or killed that we know of. Prior to the shooting on Liberty Alley, I have voiced my concerns about the folks on North Charlotte who use my emergency easement as their personal walkway. I've asked to have more streetlights put up in Liberty Alley, and that request was never answered. I've also let the police know about the people living in the garage on Liberty Alley. He has a concealed weapon, and as we've seen it tucked in his pants, and he beats the woman living there with him, as we had to call 911 when we witnessed him throw her to the ground by her face. They're still living there. They use the trash cans that they don't pay for, that we have to clean up the mess, and that's the least of my concerns. Where are they using the bathroom? What are they even doing there? My partner and I have managed to stop the fentanyl leaners from walking past our windows by politely asking them to walk around, which is an uncomfortable situation to be put in. Since June 27th, we have received zero information regarding the shooting. The police blotter on the website has zero information, and we don't have a local newspaper to give the citizens information. Was the man caught? What was his motivation? And most importantly, is he still living behind us? Pretty sure drug selling activity is still happening as we watch cars park in the back alley, walk into the building on Charlotte, and leave within minutes. I am a hairstylist and I work late at night. After the shooting, a man approached me on a bike while getting out of my car that I parked on my driveway on Liberty Alley at 9:30 p.m. Luckily, I had pepper spray ready to go, and I was able to put myself between the fence gate between him and I. He asked me about my driveway and told me not to worry, that he is my neighbor, but what alley to women approaches her in a dark alley at night? I'm still not sure what his intentions were, but now I don't park on my own property to avoid it happening. I used to take pride in taking care of the easement when no one on Oak Street helps me, but since then, I've let the weeds grow to prevent people from walking through. It's an eyesore and it's full of allergens, and my asthma has been out of control in the process, but I guess I'd rather have trouble breathing than have drug addicts walk past my windows. We are supposed to be seeing a positive change in Pottstown. Restaurants and breweries see the potential in this town, and I used to as well. I work in Phoenixville, and somehow they were able to provide homeless shelters for women with children, and still the town has become a pretty safe place to walk around. What are we doing here to make it safer for citizens? I don't think enough. For example, there was more cops down yesterday at the big boy train coming through again than I've seen driving around my neighborhood since the shooting. Ignoring the problem and not holding landlords accountable for their tenants will be the next downfall of this town. My partner and I want to leave, and our neighbors are concerned about who will be moving in next. I would much rather stay and see Pottstown become the cool place I know it can be, but us citizens cannot do this alone. Maybe our government could have a meeting with the Phoenixville's government and learn how they were able to turn their town around, how they made the town a better place for both residents and visitors. Pottstown should be and can be the next Phoenixville if our government works for and with us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And that concludes public comment.
Justin, I would just like to note that, I just forgot what I was going to say. Give me 1 second.
That happens to me all the
Oh,
time.
man, it's bad.
Ooh. Take your time.
Had something to say about what you said.
Um,
Oh, it's awful. It'll come back.
It's all right.
yeah.
Let me know.
Okay, so counselors' general discussion. So I'm gonna start with Andrew.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, I have a couple things.
Okay. Your presentation?
Hand out some stuff. Sometime during last month, Tom Nyros reached out to me and wanted to ask me about some problems that he was having with regard to land development on the Beacon of Hope.
Okay, okay.
And so I called him and I found out what he needed to know. These two guys.
You can share.
And asked him to help him, okay? And I said, okay, cool, I'll do that, no problem. And so I found out what his problem was.
Okay.
And tried to move it forward, and so that, because the Beacon of Hope facility is a good thing for Pottstown, okay? It's going to be a good thing for the unhoused community, because it will not only just house them, but it will also try to give them some life skills and guidance so that they can join the community, which is great. So I'm all for that. So what I did was, then I heard about a tent city that's in existence in, the old Flag property. How I found out was with the fire. And I also found out that, according to the first responders, they said that there's 200 to 300 people there. Didn't know that. I didn't know that, but I had heard that there was some people that were still around because when the Days Inn opened, there was only room for 112 of those people, and there are far more than that. And so they are there. So what I did was I figured what I wanted to find out was, how is this affecting our community? So what I did was I took the police reports that Chief Markovich gives us every month, okay, and I did nothing but enter the data from January 2017 to the present date in 2026. I just entered the number of calls per ward on an Excel spreadsheet. I then copy and pasted that Excel spreadsheet and put it into the computer. I said, please analyze this data. And this is what it put out. And this is what it put out. And that's what I want to discuss today, okay? And so what it put out is, and these are not my words, I ran it through a computer, and the computer told me this is what it said, okay? And I have that in your packet, okay? Now, please do not think that this is anything about anything but that the police department is doing wrong. The police department is overworked and overwhelmed, okay? Because calls are going constantly. I asked Mr. Steele about people coming back on. These are calls. These are calls that create, that are quality of life issues. So what it has is that from 2017 to 2025, there's an increase in call volume. Call volumes aren't crimes, right, Chief? It's just calls, okay? But there are costs associated with that, okay? And that cost is about $85.12. Call costs about an hour, okay? So it looks like COVID, calls dripped significantly, summer peaks, and then I looked at a word-by-word breakdown. The high volume tiers are wards 2, 3, and 1. Ward 2 is the highest and fastest growing, a massive 29% increase, okay? Now, in that data, in that Excel spreadsheet, I said 2025, the Days Inn opened, okay? Which meant people were let into the streets. And what happened was, wow, Ward 2's calls spiked dramatically. Ward 3, very high. Ward 1, high but stable, okay? Moderate volume. Oh, my ward. Boy, my ward's got a 45% increase in call volume. Great, okay? And the low volume's 4, 5, and 7. Point is that this is to show what happens and what's going to happen 6 months after the Beacon of Hope shuttle enters. 43 people are going to go into the homeless facility. The other 70 got nowhere to go. So they're going to be released onto the streets. So we can, if you believe data, we'll believe that we should possibly be thinking about what we're going to do proactively to prevent another spike, okay? And therefore, I'm going to call on Madam President to commission some sort of task force now, okay? With council, with representatives, with people like Doug Slick or Mike Hayes. We all should be together and figure out how we are going to address this impending problem. The time for sticking our heads in the sand and hoping that Chief Markovich is just going to fix everything and we don't have to do anything is over. We have to help this man, okay? And how do we help this man? Through data. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to help this guy out. I'm trying to reduce the calls, okay? And then when you go with the calls, there is a financial impact of that, okay? For example, between macro growth between 2017 and 2024, annual cost rose by over $365,000. That's a cost. I didn't make that up. It's not me just being Andrew. It's facts. okay? That's what I did, okay? And these are blowing holes in our budgets, okay? And I would much rather have Chief and his people, okay, not running out to calls all the time in Ward 6, which is includes 45%, okay, or in Lisa's ward, because we didn't do anything. It's time to do something before it gets worse. That's what I would like to do, and that's what the purpose of this is. And I'm gonna do this stuff all the time. I'm gonna be looking at data and trying to help the borough figure out what the problems are and try to avoid them, as opposed to doing nothing. Not you, Chief. You're just dealing with what the hand you got,
And groundhogs.
okay? That's the one thing I would hope you guys look at that. And if anybody wants a copy of my findings, you can email me and I'll be happy to give them to you, okay? I'll be happy to give them to you because the citizens of this town deserve to know what's going on in this town. And they need to know about crime and they need to know about things. That's the first thing. The second thing is, last month, a citizen came before this board and informed this board of a threat that was given by the mayor of this town against this citizen.
I'm going to ask you
Hey,
to stop right there.
no, I am not going to stop.
Okay.
This is my turn.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you that not one person in this room, except for Lisa Vanni, came to me and asked me, because you know who that person is? That person has the same standing as Mrs. Athena Proxel, okay? As Mrs. Rose, okay? It's my significant other, Jessica Grader.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Okay? And not one of you, except for Lisa, reached out to her or me. And if you think that this is going to go away, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. Okay? You were wrong. You threatened her. And you did nothing. And nobody did anything.
No,
So
we're not going to.
if you think I'm going to let this drop, you guys don't know me. Okay? And I'm going to look each one of you in the eye and tell you this. What was done was wrong to a citizen. If you can do it to her, you can do it to anybody in this room. It's not okay.
Okay, Ryan, what you got for us?
Well, thank you for the
It was-
information, Andrew. That's very helpful. But, well, of course, I'd like to thank Go Forth and the Amy's for all the work they did for the parade and the fireworks. After the storm, the boys and I ran down and actually caught the fireworks. Worked out really well. And then, of course, the big boy was memorable, but somewhat miserable too, I think, for the heat. I guess I saw it when I was a kid. I used, lived in California. I saw it at the LA County Fairgrounds, but that was about 40 years ago. So it's really neat to see it, functional in here in Pottstown. And I appreciate all the help from the police department, staff, and EMS. And I'm just glad nobody died. So
Yeah, that's true. I agree.
I can't remember what I was going to say. Go to him first.
Okay.
Let me think another.
Ray, what you got?
Oh.
I guess the one thing that I wanted to, so again, thanking the first responders for an amazing event for Big Boy. Thanking for all the people who went out and braved the heat. For our parade, I was proud that we put a parade on when so many other communities canceled. And I do think that there was a lot of people who were saying, look, do what is best for you in terms of whether you're out in the heat or not out in the heat. So I think it was, 4th of July, when we didn't have the Memorial Day parade, that was, kind of frustrating and sad. And although we had a wonderful event that was held at Goodwill, I do think that this was, parades are a good opportunity for people in the community to get out in front of other people, to wish people, it's a good community moment. So I was glad to be part of that and glad to see all the people there. I was a little worried as I was walking up. It was like 9 like 9:45, so the parade was at 10:30, and there was like nobody out in the street, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be just a lot of people walking down the middle of the street and not a lot of people on the side. But I love that Pottstown people they come out in hiding all of a sudden, and they're there. So it was a great event. One thing that I do want to bring up, and this has been something that I've been talking with my constituents a lot lately, is the fireworks. And I'm glad that it started raining, and I'm glad that it's kind of continued raining, because we've had a lot of issues in our area. I mean, beyond the fact of the fire, that, you would think that a fire that got started because of fireworks and did the damage that it did, that would be in some sort of way a moment that someone would say, hey, maybe I shouldn't set off fireworks this year. So, but it obviously didn't necessarily hit home for some people. But, we've had a lot of issues in our neighborhood with people setting off fireworks at, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, or during the day. We've called the police a couple times. And I want to see if we can talk about this in some way, because I do think that it's connected to a larger issue. I do think that people come into town to do things because they think they can get away with it in Pottstown. And I think one of them is they come in to sell fireworks. They think, well, I'm not going to get caught out in my community. I can come into town and do stupid things. And I would love to see if we could have some sort of conversation, to the point of, district attorney talking about people not calling in when they hear gunfire. Well, I think that Pottstown residents have been hearing things for so many years. They were just like, oh,
Yeah.
it's just another thing happening. But, and to Andrew's point, I mean, I don't want to necessarily cause more work for the police by making a phone call, but at the end of the day, how do the police know what's going on in a community if everybody, doesn't call in? When I'm talking to my constituents, I'm like, call the police. Like, the more we call the police, the more the police know that crap is happening in our area, the more they're able to have a presence in our area. So that's kind of sort of, balancing that fine line of, am I being a nuisance by calling, or am I reporting something that's happening so that there's evidence of a trend and people can kind of start to connect the dots. So I would like to explore down the line. I mean, I know, that fireworks are illegal in Pottstown, but then we have places that sell fireworks in town, so
Joe Cerisi.
Yeah.
Get the legislators to repeal the bill
Okay.
that
All right.
allows for selling of those commercial
Yeah.
grade fireworks.
Yeah, I mean, I in my brain, I just think to myself, we have this amazing fireworks display that goes off on 4th of July, and then everybody is around us setting off fireworks, and in such a dry environment that we have right now, it obviously resulted in at least one fire, and I think it could have been way worse. So that's kind of my thing that, I've sort of been dealing with people in my area, and really feel like it's something that, just needed to be said. So thank you.
I didn't mind. Could we talk quick after the meeting so I can remember what I was going to say? You said something that I had tried to address in the past, and I want to make sure that I bring it up again. Second, I went to the Juneteenth gala. It was great. I was hoping to see some more Borough people there, but it was beautiful. The last thing, I just want to remind people, it does not take a lot of effort to have a conversation, to understand why somebody's upset. It can diffuse a situation so it doesn't turn into what we're dealing with now. You need some acknowledgement, whether you can solve the problem or not, whether it goes south or not. It makes a difference just to pick up a phone, send an email, and have a conversation. And it's upsetting that we don't do that, period. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Did I get it? Okay. So, I just want to talk about a few things, and then I'm not going to be long because I have to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. So, the parade was amazing. Although it was took a little while to get started, but other than that, it was it was amazing. I want to say to the ambassadors, Katina Bearden and Laura Johnson, congratulations. And of course, Tammy Bontour, she's now the president with Rotary. Congratulations to her. Denise, like Lisa said, she had a gala and her Juneteenth celebration was amazing. There was DJs and my partner, he ended up getting a picture with one of the DJs. He was all excited because he got picture. I didn't know the one guy. He was a older DJ and rapper or something, but I didn't know him because he's from Philly. So anyway, that was good. Go forth. The Amy's always do a wonderful job, but they do it because they have so many people volunteering, as I'm one of them, volunteering with this. So it was amazing. Then it started raining, and they was like, we gonna still have fireworks? And I'm like, the Amy's, we gonna have fireworks, we just gonna wait it out. If we gotta wait till midnight, the fireworks still going on, and it end up going off. Big Boy, it just was so many good vibes there that the energy was, although it was hot, everybody was there, wanted to be there. Because if they didn't, they'd have been in their house watching it on TV. And it's pretty cool because since I drive for SEPTA, now I see everybody was standing everywhere just watching it, just trying to see it when it was coming back the other way. So that was pretty cool to see that. Andrew had a garden party at his house. I think that was last month, but it rained a little. Like, yeah, for Mosaic Trust. But me and my partner, we was there, so we was in the backyard, and he was like, "Wow, his backyard is awesome." I said, "I know, right? Like he really got a brown thumb, brown and green, because it was really nice. He had tables out there, took pictures, but never post because y'all, I got a lot of stuff going on. But anyway, it was really nice how he had everything set up and just the flowers and the greens, and it was just the trees and the bushes, the flowers. It was just really nice. I love flowers. I'm not an outdoor person. I have plants, so I can't do outdoors. Me and outdoors, we don't get along. My thumb is brown, for real. I just can't do it. Anyway, so but that was really nice. I really liked that, and it was a good time. And the people, we were all there, and he had a truck there too that was giving out like little hors d'oeuvres and stuff like that. Now, as for Andrew, as for your comment, please do not blame my heart. I always say this: blame my mind. I was supposed to reach out and didn't, and I received Jessica's number from Matt. I asked him, can I get the number from him? And he gave me the number, and I just haven't had time to get to do it. So that's on me. I'm gonna tell you that now. That's on me. Again, don't blame my mind. Don't blame my heart, blame my mind, because I got stuff going on all over the place. But and I think that is it for me. I did all that. Okay, yep. I think that's it for me. Anybody else? How about you, Justin?
Good to go.
How about you, Zach? Okay, and Matt.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. All right, everybody. Well, I think this is the end of our council meeting adjourned. Drive home safe.